Well, I'm telling YouTube to go live, and I'm just waving
Okay.
my hands so that way I've got
Oh,
reference in the video,
yep.
so I could see that happening. It is very delayed.
Is it? It's more delayed than usual?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know.
Hmm. 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 Um.
Okay, YouTube's going,
Okay,
so we're
that's
good there. Um, why won't you go live?
I considered leaving my dogs out today, but I didn't. I put them in their crate. I think over the last couple episodes of doing this, they, for the most part, are quiet in that crate. Right now, they're clearly
Good.
not. But
Right.
I think they have what they do is they cry a little bit, and then they calm for a long period of time, and then maybe they have another outburst or two.
Right.
But hopefully, it's better that they're getting it out right now during the
Yeah.
pre-show.
Yeah. That we can't seem to. I can't get.
The live stream
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Only on Facebook. Yeah. Facebook or YouTube is going.
Okay.
So it's telling me to connect streaming software to go live. So let me try this one more time.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay. Live stream. Paste that. Paste that. I'm going to stop.
Okay.
I'm going to record. Where'd you go?
Kicked me out for some reason, but it looks like I'm back and we're recording.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to reload from Riverside on my side. So
Okay. I'll step out too and then jump back in. Oh, it's telling me to
weird.
All right. How are we looking?
It's still not wanting to work correctly.
Ay, ay, ay. It may be
This is,
worth taking inventory of the little things that Riverside isn't doing so great for us.
well, it was working fine, perfectly fine for us for a long time.
Yeah, but it does feel like we've always had to like remember like, oh, we have to restart it to get Facebook to work. Like even if it's just once. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not that bad, but it's also worth noting that it's not perfect, which I don't know if that's a
that's
fair
true.
if it's a fair uh
But
if we
once we got it working, it was working.
yeah, yeah, which is good.
I mean, and it makes sense that I have to have it, you know, set up on Facebook first before.
Yeah. So is it going on Facebook now? Live stream?
No,
Oh, dang, man.
it's not seeing. the stream from Riverside, but
Weird.
YouTube is working fine. So
So can you just put the link from YouTube onto Facebook and say we're streaming live here? But then they have to go to an external source, right? They click it and they go to
right,
YouTube rather than just seeing it.
right.
Yeah.
I
I mean, that might just have to do for now.
yeah
I don't know. I guess
yeah
I should put it up on Twitter, huh?
yeah.
So before you go. Watch as we talk about where the wild things are. Nice. It's even got
Yep. When I schedule it, it'll do that.
that's tight.
Yeah.
That is tight. Have we talked about tight much?
No,
Tight is back.
is it?
Well,
I
if
didn't
it's
know it ever
not,
left.
I said did it ever leave? I'm bringing it back. Just one conversation at a time. I'm bringing back tight. So I don't think I've mentioned that on the podcast yet. Maybe today's the day.
Yeah.
We're live streaming.
I'm gonna stop the recording real quick.
Okay.
It's a good thing we're not in a time crunch.
I know. We're live streaming with the wild things. That's clever. Live streaming episode 37 with the wild things. And people are going to be like, what are the wild things? Oh, it's where the wild things are. That's so clever. That's what they'll say.
Who knows? Maybe Facebook is having issues today.
Dag Nabbit, Facebook, or what did they change their name to? Nebulous or
Well, the company is Meta, but
Meta?
Facebook is still the product.
Yeah, Dag Nabbit, Meta, and your product, Facebook. Upsetting
Well,
my
it still
dogs.
thinks that the live stream is happening, like the scheduled live stream is happening. So maybe
Oh,
if I wonder. Can I delete it? Edit post. Cancel event. Delete event. Maybe that'll help.
so you canceled the one that was on
Right.
there that's not working.
Yeah. And so then I'm wondering if okay. Like I'm wondering if it was just getting itself all weird.
I was all confused.
Yeah. Riverside is going.
Sweet. A little laggy. Hopefully that's a good sign. Listen to me. Oh, the mustache sound isn't as good with this. It's when I use the other processor. That's me curling my mustache. The other processor picks up way clearer, but it also is so good that it picks up like your sound through my headphones and creates
Right?
like an echo throughout. It actually causes more complication.
Yeah.
So I can only, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to cancel it out more, but I can only cancel it out so much.
Yeah.
So how are we looking?
Is not wanting to connect.
Yeah, then there's something else going on, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
That's too bad because you took the time to set it up beforehand and
Right?
you're ready to go. Preparation got you nothing in this instance.
Nope.
I don't mean that. That sounded mean. It's frustrating when that happens, is what I'm saying. It's like, gosh, you did everything right. I just listened to a podcast about that on This American Life, and it's like you did everything right, but still the results didn't work out. Sometimes that's just the way life goes. We have to learn to accept that.
Yeah. I mean, I could. Yeah. I don't know. We'll mess with it later.
All right.
We are at least going live on YouTube.
And Twitter knows. Hey,
And
Twitter
knows. Yep.
They've probably seen us stop and start like 9 times.
Right.
I don't think anyone's watching that religiously. So,
Who knows?
yeah. I'm going to check my sound, correct? Ooh, that was loud.
I heard that.
Yep. Let's check the wrong buzzer. Ooh, okay. Here's my intro. Yeah, that'll be a good level. Oh, but I got to restart it. All right, so that's working. That's good.
Yeah. Is your media board getting very long?
How do you mean? Like a bunch of stuff being added to it?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm adding stuff.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what I do is I go through and when you click the 3 dots, you can delete certain ones.
Right.
So I delete.
I just don't do that.
Yeah, but what's frustrating is you have to do that every time. It doesn't just save.
Huh.
So
Weird.
yeah, but you pretty much just use the correct and wrong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I for the wrong and correct, I actually use the soundboard.
Right.
So, yeah, actually, there you go. Actually, I'm gonna see now here. I'm wondering if the same thing will happen. Like if I want to delete like the Christmas song that I have on here, the vacuum one. Here, let's just play it for fun. I got a vacuum for Christmas, and it sucks. So if I delete that, I think it just deletes for today. I wonder how we get it to permanently delete. That might be something to dig into another time.
Yeah. I mean, it does say it's in beta, so.
That's true. Yeah. So they're still working this stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least we know how to do it.
Yeah. We do.
Tight. That's tight.
Yeah.
As tight as back. Remember.
What was it? A couple weeks ago, you asked about if I talked to you about the band Devil Makes 3.
Oh yeah. You mean Devil Makes 3? It's just called the Devil Makes 3, right?
Yeah. The band's just Devil Makes 3, which is somewhat of a bluegrass band. Have you ever heard of Yonder Mountain String Band?
No, that's quite a name.
It is. I mean, they're out of Colorado, along with like String Cheese Incident and stuff. They're a bluegrass jam band.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah, I pulled up a video on YouTube of them. You know, they do the classic, you know, just like Fish and Grateful Dead. You know, they'll start one song, go into another, and then finish the first song. And I'm always impressed when a band does that well.
Yeah, I mean,
like you know, you're listening to the song, and then you just start hearing like these little bits of the next song, and it just slowly they do it well enough to where it just blends,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's the next song.
Yeah, that's not easy to do with live instruments because essentially
No.
that's what a DJ is doing, or like I do that at one of my
Yeah.
jobs when I transition songs, is you kind of fade one into the next.
Well, I mean, this isn't even. I mean, this would be like
Yeah,
over like 2 or 3 minutes. Like the bass line might just throw in occasionally, like just a little rhythm of the next one or something. And
yeah. Yo, no, I know. Yeah, that's insane. And then they transition. I years ago I did what I called a Christmas medley on ukulele, where I learned like
Mhm.
just the choruses of 5 songs and played one to the next. And part of the reason it was so hard was y- I tried to keep it in the same key. So like whatever the last chord that I played on one song, it would lead into the next. And I
Right.
don't know the exact way to do it, but it's tricky when you either have to do that or you have to slip in a key change and make it sound
Hmm.
natural. And so for them to
Yeah.
do that is very impressive.
Well, and you got like 5 or 6 people playing. It's
Yeah.
not just one person that's having to do it. It's an entire group.
I'm looking at a picture of them right now and I see there's 5 of them, and there's a banjo, there's a bass
Yep.
guitar, there's a mandolin, there's an acoustic guitar, and there's a fiddle slash violin. But
Yeah.
I believe when it's played the way it's played, it's called a fiddle.
Yeah. It really depends on how you hold it.
Is that, yeah, is that
Is
right?
my understanding. That's my understanding. Is it's just a how you're holding it type deal. It's not
Interesting.
a it's not a what you're playing. It's how you play it.
Yeah, but I also wonder if how you play it could mean like you're playing like that's a fiddle as opposed to
Yeah.
for a violin.
Well, but I mean, if you ever go to the symphony, you've got songs that where the violins play just as fast as in like a bluegrass.
Oh yeah, like that. You're right. You're right. Okay,
So
well, maybe if there are any violinists listening, we could use you to prove our lack of genius, which we're already doing for you right now.
right.
That would be fun to have a violinist on.
Yeah.
A
I'll send you the
classic Yeah, yeah, send me the link. A classic classic violinist or classic
yeah.
musician, classical musician.
Yeah. I mean, the song that they transition into is a California, Colorado friendly song, but not friendly here in Indiana.
What is it?
2 hits and the joint turned brown.
Is that a Willie Nelson song? That sounds like a Willie
No,
Nelson song.
no, I I don't know if it's one of their songs or if it's a cover. Um,
Gotcha. I 100% thought you were meant bringing up a Sublime song. Smoke two joints. Smoke
no.
two joints in the morning.
Yeah.
Smoke two joints at
Uh,
night. As a
it's
as a non-marijuana smoker,
by Dillard Hartford Dillard.
whoa, he's got a sandwich name, right?
Well,
Did you
no,
say?
it's a group.
Oh God, Dillard, Hartford Dillard.
Yeah.
It's still a sandwich
Um,
name.
yeah. Um, maybe it's by them originally. Yeah, 1977. Uh,
Wow. Dillard, Hartford Dillard. By the way, what does this sound like? What does this sound make you think of? Like when you hear that, is there like an instant like thing that comes to your brain?
sleeping bag
Yes. Isn't it? Like I hear that and I'm like,
or
I'm in a,
tent.
yeah, I'm like, I'm in a tent right now. I'm camping and I like that sound. It's
Yeah.
like my mind instantly goes to I'm in the outdoors and I'm safe in this tent. It's a little cold and
Hmm.
unusual, but I like it. It's all those feelings
Yeah.
just from that. That's so crazy. I figured you'd probably
Right.
share that experience as a former
Yep.
Boy Scout and outdoors person.
How did last weekend go?
Last weekend, which part of last weekend?
The camping thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I went camping. Well, yeah, so it was a little though I did sleep in a sleeping bag. It wasn't outdoor camping. So but yeah, it was my winter camp for Camp Laverne. Shout out to Camp Laverne. We had 10 campers. It was good. It was good. My sister and I have been directing this camp for her and I together for at least 10 years, and I started a
Yeah.
year or two before her. I think my first year was 2009, which ironically is the year that the movie that we're talking about today came out. So it was fun. It was the first time we've done it in 2 years. It's the first time we've had a camp in almost 2 years because of COVID.
Hmm.
Um, It's different when I've been doing it for so long because I don't mean this to sound mean, but it almost starts to feel like a job, and it starts to become routine. Like, okay, and now we do this, and now we do this, and it's not to say that
Hmm.
that's boring.
Right.
It means we're experienced, but it's sort of like anything where the thrill of it for the first couple times isn't there anymore. So it takes a little more to get me like woo woo woo. And there was no snow, but luckily the kids were great. It was a very unique group, and I use unique not in a bad way. Like I really loved the kids. They were
Good.
really good kids, good hearts. So yeah, it was awesome. They're middle school, high school kids.
Right.
Oh, so it's I'm kind of talking to the audience here, but John and I, we know each other from the Church of the Brother, and we both grew up in a church. And I know I don't speak for you, but like, well, I mean, I'm not speaking for you, I should say, but like, I'm not crazy religious. And my connection to the church has always been more of a community one, and that's not to say I don't have my beliefs, and that I don't
Right.
really plan to get into that here. But the reason I bring it up is because at this camp, technically it's a church camp. Like we do no religious content. We literally don't do nothing. I shouldn't say that. The extent of what we do is we sing grace before every meal.
Hmm.
And so we have all these fun little grace songs. Like there's one to the Adams Family song where da 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 da, and everyone does that, and then we
Hmm.
thank you, Lord, for giving the food we need for living. We thank you as we eat it because we really need it. Da 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 da.
Yep.
And there are all kinds of different ones. So we have a Superman one, and so I realized like we should come up with a more modern day song that people. And I was like racking my brain for songs kids might connect to, and so I wrote one. I partially wrote it, in at the beginning of
Hmm.
Marvel movies where it's like do 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 do
Hmm.
do. I don't have words for that part, but I do have words for the do 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 do. That part. So here's what we do. We say, now it's time for grace. So let's all say grace, and then we say grace. And when you say grace, you pose as your favorite Marvel character. So I kept doing Doctor Strange, where I put my hand out and did the ring, and my sister kept doing Black Widow because you know how she does that. She gets down and
Hmm.
and in that perfect pose. I'm gonna be honest. I liked it way more than the kids did. I think, but I'm very proud of that one. And then I had dun 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 stuck in my head for like the next week, and now it's back. Dun 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 dun. It is a pretty epic piece of music too. I never really
Oh yeah.
appreciated it until now. It's such a great build up, and to be honest, I usually skip through it now because it takes forever to play through. I'm like, okay, I don't need to
Yeah.
watch all this again. But anyways.
In case you didn't see, Kevin, I sent you a link for the original version of the two hits in the joint turning brown.
Oh, nice. Oh, can you also send me a link? Okay, so should I watch it now or should I save it for later? Oh, you sent it to me on your phone. That's
Yeah.
technology, right? Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna watch it.
Which should be on your Mac as well now that you're using your iPhone again.
Yeah, but I was sick of text coming through on here at the same time, so I turned it off. And they would come in early, and then my phone would. It was like too many noises going off, so I turned them off on my Mac. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Um. Yeah, you should. I am using an iPhone again, and I've been disconnected for the last year in a good way, and I'm now logged into the Lack of Genius Instagram, so you'll be seeing me
Hmm.
posting stuff from there, potentially
But
frequently.
yeah, which just posted on Instagram and Facebook saying, "Hey, come over to YouTube." So
Awesome, that's fantastic. Um, Great. Oh, I was gonna ask for a link to or what the quiz link was because there's so many words. Is
oh
it is
yeah,
it
I copied it for you.
okay? Sweet, thank you.
Um,
Doom, 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 doom.
but yeah, I mean at scout camp
Yeah, that same
we
kind of
said
stuff.
grays. Yeah, and then we had some that are somewhat scout specific.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well,
Was
I mean
your
they're
oh, you sent me
yeah.
Foundry Waters
Oops.
because you had that on your mind, huh?
No, it just that's what copied
Oh,
or not
weird.
copied.
What was a Scout specific one that you remember?
So there's out in New Mexico. There's a there's a place called Philmont, which is a high adventure um, base, and so um, there was a prayer that we would say that was specific to Philmont. Or
Oh,
it's known
cool.
as the Philmont one, and so you could
Nice.
either say it or sing it. But
That's cool.
if you want the link for yours, just change book to film.
Okay, I will do that just to make sure. Sometimes I worry that I typed it differently or something, and I want to make sure I'm doing what you.
No, I get that.
Did you guys sing Johnny Appleseed? Oh, the
Uh,
Lord's been good to me,
Camp Mac, we did.
so I
Yeah.
thank the Lord. That's a favorite one because
Hmm.
especially the boys would a few years back would really get into it because we'd start with a big oh the Lord," and they would scream it, and it was
Right.
like they it's funny when in hindsight you don't even realize it, but you're getting excited about
Hmm.
saying a grace. Like
Yeah.
that's
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and Jacob's gonna get to start learning all those because he's going to, he's gone to grain camp with my parents the last couple years.
Oh, nice. That's
Um,
great.
yeah, but he's actually gonna go for a week this summer, so that'll be his first time kind of away from any family for a week.
Okay, wow.
So yeah, so we'll see
Do
how
you
that
get a sense
goes.
of how he's feeling? Is he excited about it, or is he
Yeah, he
not
seems
really?
excited about it.
That's great.
So I think the biggest thing is not having any like TV and stuff like that. It's gonna be a big one for him.
Gotcha. He's pretty used to having
Yeah,
electronics around, probably.
yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I know people that work up there at camp. So
Oh, you got direct connections
yeah,
to keep an eye on him.
yeah.
Oh, or to
But
hook him up with the electronics. Is that what you're saying?
no, no, not to hook him up, but just if he needs to go talk, if he's getting homesick or whatnot, then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
uh,
we had one homesick child that it's funny because I almost forget. Usually I work with just high school kids,
mhm,
and by the time they're in high school, most kids are pretty well adapted and happy to be away from home and all that stuff. But every time
yeah,
we do the winter camp, we get middle school kids too, and it's so rare that I have middle school kids, and the younger ones especially are still, some of them get
mhm,
homesick, some of them get, and so whenever that happens, I feel almost ill-equipped to handle it because I'm
right,
so not used to it. I feel like I handle it well. I just got the kid talking about something else, and the next thing I know, he was going on and on and on about world politics, and so I was like, all right, this worked.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I mean, growing up in scouts and doing scout camp and then working at scout camp for a few summers, that's middle school through high school. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
It's funny. Speaking of songs and stuff, I always I always say that my weakest point as a camp director is our campfire. And I think mainly it's because that's ironic because I want to be a children's song singer, songwriter and singer, but I don't
right,
really like getting up in front of a group and leading songs of like that are fun and dancey. Um,
yeah,
I think if I was in my full outfit as a children's character, that's a different story. But when I'm just me, it's taken some time. But man, we started our campfire, and it was like I'm sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know any songs. What am I gonna do? I know so many songs over the years of camp directing. It's insane.
right,
It was almost easy. Like I almost had too many songs to do, and things that we've made up over the years. That made me think though, and I wonder if you can relate to this at all, but we for how I don't know how many years sang Baby Shark
hmm. Oh
before
yeah,
it was ever a hugely remixed
oh
popular
yeah,
song that like I couldn't believe it when that song came out. I was like, why is everyone freaking out about Baby Shark?
right,
I've known about this song for years.
yeah,
Um, and it just made me think like, what am I sitting on a gold mine with all these camp songs that I don't even know are going to be huge hits? Like
maybe,
I think it just takes it takes a perfect storm of like creating a dancey version and putting it up. But I mean, Baby Shark is my nephew wears wore Baby Shark onesie to camp.
hmm,
Like it's a huge yeah, it's a huge thing now, a huge moneymaker now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Anyways.
mean, the last year I worked at scout camp, which is
Mhm.
probably I mean, I visited camp for, an afternoon or something like that here and there. Like when my dad was the camp director. Since then, but I mean, the last summer I worked was '08.
Okay, wow, so quite a while ago.
Yeah, yeah, and so now that Jacob's in Cub Scouts, I'm having to relearn the songs that I have
Oh, I
not
bet, yeah.
sang since like 2008.
They're
And
vaguely
so,
familiar, and you're
yeah,
yeah.
they're vaguely familiar, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of remember that now because I sang them so much then, but it's kind of like riding a bike for after not having ridden one for 5 years.
Totally.
Kind of rusty at first, and then you slowly get into it.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Well, music is amazing like that because it'll come back to you. It is like riding a bike. I mean, even
mhm.
not to be kind of a downer. In fact, this is kind of a nice thing, but like people who have dementia, a lot of times music is
Yeah,
what makes them feel alive. My grandfather. We never had like a, I've seen things and heard podcasts of people who you put a dementia patient who can't remember their own
hmm
name. You put music on, and all of a sudden they're talking like they know everything. I
yeah,
didn't quite have that experience, but for the last few years of my grandpa's life, he was pretty, he was always quiet, but when the dementia took over, it
hmm
was, he didn't talk much. And when he did, he always seemed kind of confused about where he was. But when he would start singing this like military song and he would just come to life. And I don't know, you put music on, it's amazing. It just
yeah.
taps into a certain part of your brain that,
Well, I
it's a
mean,
really
even for
beautiful
people
thing.
that don't have dementia, like
Yeah.
if like the Chemical Brothers, pretty
Hmm.
good, techno band that I started listening to in like
Hmm.
middle school
Hmm.
ish or early high school.
Hmm.
Reading a bunch of books, then I still, if I hear that, then I still think about some of the books that I was reading.
Takes you
You
right
know,
back.
it does, yeah.
I mean, it's silly to say it, but it's similar to
Hmm.
this. It's the way our brain interprets sounds and frequencies and waves, but music obviously is a little more pleasant to the
Right.
ears than a zipper going up and down. Um, yeah, pretty incredible. It's all
Yeah,
pretty incredible. Okay, what do you think? Should we get going into our episode?
I think so.
My dogs haven't quieted down, and maybe I'll say this in the episode as well. I'm thinking maybe because we're doing where the wild things are, the howling is appropriate. I don't know. We'll
Oh,
see how
and
long they
and
are.
I did get double, I double checked with M, and she is perfectly fine with us using a picture of Charlie for the cover art this week. So
Oh, nice. Okay. And is it also okay if we talk? I mean, we don't need to get into specifics, but talk about you have a child, and this is what sparked the episode, or
that's no, you're the one that sparked the episode. I thought.
am I?
Yeah, you
I
were talking about it before he was born.
was I?
I think so.
I
I
might
don't
have been.
remember.
I thought it was when you sent me that picture. It
No,
was
I
before he
sent.
was born.
Yeah, I sent you the picture because we were talking about it. Kevin will be right back.
It booted me off.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did it do that to you too?
No,
Just me? Yeah, it's done
just you.
that a few times now where it literally just goes away and says, uh, you had to reload or whatever.
Out of curiosity, do you have an update for Chrome? Because I've got my Chrome needs updated.
I haven't seen that I need one, but
It would say up in the top right corner.
oh yeah, no, I don't see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
weird.
Well, so would you rather us not talk too much about I mean, is it all right to at least mention that who was it, your mother-in-law made that thing?
No, she just bought it.
Oh, bought it, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it all right to at least mention that, or would you rather not?
I think we should keep that out, and so then that way the um
Oh, the post is
pre-shows, the pre-show can have
okay,
that
got it.
little.
Okay, cool. So do we don't really know what sparked the episode then.
No,
Have I shown you the picture I have of me dressed as Max? Did I tell you about that?
you may have, but
I have to find that picture because then maybe we can put the two pictures together. But
Yeah, we could.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. Well, maybe I'll mention that.
Do you want to ask first, or you want me to this week? Actually,
mm,
let me, because the book came first.
There we go. Now we're thinking. Like true podcasters. So John's gonna ask first because the book came first. All right. I'm just deleting a few things, and hopefully my thing doesn't crash out on me. But if it does, okay. Should we go for it then? And then tidy up. I'm just gonna do the Justin Turner thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. All right. Then you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna hit it. 3, 2. What? I'm still in preview. Let's go live. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Down the volume so I don't blow everyone's ears out. All right. Now I promise you this countdown is gonna be real. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast. Starting with a howl. Hey, John.
Yeah. Hey. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good. I thought a howl would be, that was a pretty good howl too, wasn't
it? It was. I mean, what wasn't there a radio host back in the day that was like Howlin' Jack or something like that?
Wolfman Jack. Yeah.
There you go.
Wolfman Jack. Shout out to my friend Milton, who I don't think listens to this podcast, but he's a radio friend of mine and he loves Wolfman Jack, one of his favorites. Yeah, we're howling because, well, I guess I'm howling for a couple reasons. One, my dogs are howling in the background right now, and we figured it might be appropriate for them to continue howling because we are doing an episode on where the wild things are. Yay! And we divided it into two different things, right, John?
Yep.
What are we doing?
Book and movie.
Yeah. So John's gonna quiz me on the book. And I am quizzing him on the movie. I know the book came out first, but I'm gonna just keep talking about the film because it's a film that I love and that sometimes I forget how much I love. Like I know I've mentioned a lot of different movies as being one of my favorite movies of all time, including like Cool Runnings and Happy Gilmore and Mighty Ducks, and those are all. I would stand by those. Like those are all obviously kind of silly movies, nostalgic movies. Right. As an adult, like Where the Wild Things Are is every time I watch it, I get like emotional. I get sucked into it. It's as I learned in some of my research, and I guess I already knew, it's a kind of a polarizing movie because people wanted it to be more child friendly and people thought it was too dark. But regardless of your stance on that part of it, I think visually, when you look at this movie, you can't deny how beautiful it is and how, I mean, and I have tons of stuff to talk about. I'll try not to get too carried away. But my favorite thing about it, I think, is that it does such a great job of tapping into sort of the confusion of being a child sometimes and the what's right, what's wrong, why why are adults like this? Why isn't life is unfair? I don't know. You can see I'm even confused about how to say it, but it just taps into that feeling. Yeah. And I don't know. I think I have a pretty strong inner child. So I think that's why this movie really taps into me. I just really connect with it a lot. So,
that's good.
And then John, you're doing the book. I don't know if you have, if you have the same kind of emotional connection to the book that I have to the movie, but what is your experience with the book?
I mean, I've had it since I was a kid, and the book came out 20 some years before we were even born. So I mean, it already been around for a long time. And no, there's no questions about the date on when the book came out because Kevin spoiled it for himself. So I mean, the book came out in the mid '60s.
Yeah.
And so
I text John. I text John and said, "Hey, full disclosure, in my research about the movie, I came across the date that the book came out and the author's name. So don't include that in your quiz." That's what he said.
I mean, it was written and illustrated by Maurice Sendak, who his parents, he grew up Jewish. His parents came over from, I think it was Poland. And he had family die in the Holocaust and everything. Like
Oh,
he was a early teen when that was all going on. Uh,
wow.
so I mean, part of that probably plays into it.
Yeah.
Well, and the characters, like the wild things, were all drawn kind of based off of artwork that he did, caricatures of his aunts and uncles when they would come over on like Sunday afternoons and stuff. Um, so
Well, there's so much that you just said that I had no idea about, including the Holocaust surviving and like,
hmm
yeah, I mean this book, especially the movie, but the book, which I did not go back and read. I don't know the last time I've read it.
I don't know either.
But this idea of sort of escaping into an imaginary world, that's a survival mechanism. And for
Well, and
someone
let me make sure you understood what I was saying. He didn't actually go through the Holocaust, but he had
oh,
family that did.
got it, got it.
He
Okay.
was all his family was already over here in the States when that was happening, but
I see, I see. But
he
yeah,
was alive during that time.
yeah, so for him to know that his family was going through that, I see. So that is a little bit of a different
Yeah.
experience, but even still, like, I think there's something relatable for any child to sort of want to escape
hmm
reality and go down this dream world. And then, oh, what was the last point you made? Now I'm blanking. Um, so the aunts and uncles thing is so interesting too, because I know that the characters in the movie, they obviously had to be expanded on,
hmm
but there is a character, Ira and Judith, they're a couple, and they sort of represent a sort of a parenty. They sort of represent parents, but to me, they're almost more like aunts and uncles. So that is pretty ironic. And it does make me wonder because Maurice Sendak, the author, was a major part of the consulting on the film with Spike Jonze, the director. So maybe they deliberately sort of gave it that aunt uncle vibe because that's what his intent was.
Yeah.
Um,
It's possible.
yeah, who knows? Anywho, if you have not read this book, you're not familiar with it, or you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend both. And
Well, and in the book they don't have names either.
that's what I wondered. They literally have no names, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I was talking because I did watch this movie in preparation, and I was wondering if the sort of the main wild thing. His name is Carol, and I was like, was the name Carol in the book? But I couldn't remember. I didn't want to look it up. But I don't think they did have names, and so I really like the liberties that they took with adding names to them.
hmm
All right. Well, we got some tidying up to do. So should we get into that?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Tidy up before we go any further with the show. Tidy up before we go fix our mistakes tonight. I wanna get it right. Tidy up.
I'm sort of going to hijack this tidy up section. I guess isn't that uncommon from what I do all the time because sometimes I don't shut up. But as opposed to tidying something up, I'm more going to recall something from a previous episode and share a story with you all. So the curling and bobsled episode, as you know, if you listened, I was really moving by the idea of curling. So I went and I found a curling club. In fact, I have a brochure for it just by chance if you're on the live stream. Southern California Curling Center. And I got two friends of mine and we registered and we went to an amazing 90-minute lesson for only $30, which I'd highly recommend if you're in Southern California. Southern California Curling Center. I couldn't recommend it more. You walk in, it's this giant warehouse in Vernon, which is kind of by downtown LA, and they have 4 lanes built in. They call it the ice house when you walk in, but when you're not in the ice house, you're in this cool little lounge with couches and a TV and a ping pong table and like that lasso game that you play.
You mean a table tennis?
Table tennis, thank you. Yes, Grayson, add that to your tally of ping pongs that I said. It's a really great environment that they've made, and I highly recommend it. So I go with some friends. The 3 of us sign up. We're in a group of 8. We learn how to curl. As of the release of this episode, I've posted things that I'm talking about onto social media, so you can go and see what I'm talking about. I had a blast, right? I had I feel like I'm bragging, but I literally had the 2 best shots of the night, and a lot of it is luck, but you know, I will say that I did try to get it near the freaking bullseye. It was so much fun. There was a moment before we had started, we were on the ice, and these 4 people walk in, and they're wearing American flag jumpsuits. And I remember because I turned to my friend and I said, "Oh, now it's time to start feeling judged." And what I meant by that is I thought these guys were like a team and part of a league, and this was the thing that they did. They always showed up in these uniforms and that they were going to be all good. Turns out they were just there getting a lesson. I kind of glanced over and realized, okay, this is not league play. They're just getting their lesson. They were 2 lanes over from us, and it was a good time. So I go home, I'm doing all this stuff. And then yesterday I'm like, I'm going to post about this on the Lack of Genius podcast Instagram page. And when I go to the Southern California Curling Center and I look that up, I see that you may not know this name right off the bat. Her name is Courtney. Her Instagram handle is Courtney with a K. I know exactly who this is. There's a picture of her wearing a Team USA jumping outfit on ice at the Southern California Curling Center. I'm like, no way. Now, Courtney with a K, she is the wife of Dodger Justin Turner. If you don't know that name, most people I found know that is the guy on the Dodgers with the red beard and the long red hair. And people know him instantly if you follow baseball, even peripherally. Yes, what you're thinking is right. Justin Turner and his wife, Courtney, were 2 lanes over from me for an hour and a half curling, and I had no idea. And I'm a huge Dodger fan, as you know if you listen to this podcast. And Justin Turner is like the heart and soul of the Dodgers. He is him and Clayton Kershaw are essentially the captains of the team. And I lost it, man. I was looking at her posts. There are pictures that you'll see if you go to the Instagram right now where I'm technically curling with Justin Turner. We're both simultaneously curling, just 2 lanes apart. I don't know how I feel about this, John. I'm very excited that this happened.
I feel like we need to take your Dodger fan credentials away a little bit because you didn't know it was him when you were there.
And yeah, that's true. Now, here in my defense, and maybe you're wondering, like, how did you not recognize a red beard? He had a mask on the whole time. He was wearing a hat. He does not have long hair right now. That or it was in a ponytail under his hat. So there was no real. You couldn't see any red fire coming out from his mask very much. So, and it's funny now because when I look at the pictures and I zoom in, I'm like, oh my God, that's so him. But I wasn't going and looking people in the eye. And the ironic thing too is that when I'm out in public, I tend to be pretty social. And if I saw a group of people like that and had a chance to talk to them, I 100% would have said something like sweet onesies, or like, but in a nice way, not in a facetious way or a whatever, judgmental way. And I 100% would have talked to them if I had the opportunity, but our paths never crossed just because we were 2 lanes apart getting our lessons. And obviously we didn't meet up in the afterwards. I never saw. Oh my gosh. So like I said, I'm very excited about that this happened. I love that I'm able to tell this story, but it hurts that I was that close because I think we would have been friends. I think we would have gotten along fine. We both like baseball. We both like curling. We both like the Dodgers. So, my goodness, there's my.
And you lost us the chance of having a professional baseball player on the podcast.
I know. Can you? And I did slide into his DMs from the Lack of Genius podcast. I was like. And I sent him pictures of, look, there's us curling together. And I thought, this is really going to stand out. But I realized he probably gets stuff like that all the time. This is not, yes, this is an exciting experience for me, but this is not a unique experience for him. He gets people who are like, look, there's you in the background of my photo all the time, I'm sure. So I don't have high hopes that Justin Turner will be on this podcast, but I'll put it out there if he responds to my DM. How about that? Okay, I think we're all good with that, right? That's enough of my ranting. Let's get into our quiz, shall we?
Sounds good.
Here we go.
It's time to take a quiz or two. Lack of Genius podcast doing this for you. You may fail, but it ain't no lie, baby. It's quiz time. want this quiz to be tough. I just want to pass one cause I failed enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby, it's quiz time.
It's going to be a long time till I'm over the Justin Turner thing, I'm going to be honest. But that's the last time I'll mention it, except for when I mention it inevitably later in the show.
Right.
Where the Wild Things Are is what we're transitioning to now.
Yeah, indeed.
And John made a fantastic suggestion that because the book came out first, in fact, 40 years, 50 years apart from each other, 40 years, that John will ask the first question. So let's do some learning about the book, shall we?
We shall.
All right.
So I tried to find more current data on this, but I couldn't. So we're looking at something from 13 years ago.
Okay.
But as of 2009, which I think is the same year as when the movie came out.
It is, yeah.
How many copies of the book have been sold?
Nice.
9 million, 19 million, 29 million, or 39 million.
Wow, good little range there. And it does, you're right, that is the year the movie came out. They started filming it 3 years earlier, but there were a lot of issues with reshooting and doing work and how to brand it, that it got delayed a few years. But I do wonder if after 2009 book sales, I would guess they probably went up.
Yeah, I couldn't really find anything about one way or the other. So
yeah, but like we said, nearly 40 years later, or maybe more than 40 years later, how many copies of the book sold? 9 million, 19 million, 29 million, or 39 million. I don't really know what good book number sales are. But man, I'm gonna say that it sold. I'm gonna pick 29 million. I'm growling like a wild thing. I was gonna pick 39. I'm gonna choose 29. I'm gonna say 29 is a little more believable. Let's do it. Oh, was it 39?
Nope, 19.
19. Oh,
19
wow.
million.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
well.
and that's as of 2009. So I mean, with the movie that came out and everything, it's possible it's much higher than that now.
Yeah.
I would hope it's much higher than that now, since that was 13 years ago. But no, roughly over 19 million copies as of 2009, with 10 million of those being in the United States alone.
Okay, got it. Wow.
So.
Yeah, it does make me wonder, I know I had a copy of this book as a kid and you did, and I would guess a lot of people in our age range did.
Oh yeah, I mean, and we actually have, I think, 2 copies in this house now because Charlie got a copy. So
yeah, and and I would guess in 2009 there was probably a resurgence of that, and in fact, when
when the book first came out, probably little kids then were getting it, and then 20 some years later, that would have been them getting them for us, and then it kind of probably just goes in cycles, and every 20 years or so it just kind of potentially could just increase the sales quite a bit.
Totally.
A resurgence of it.
I mean, and it really says a lot about the characters that were created. Do you have any questions going into like the storyline of the book, the quote unquote storyline, or like just as a if somebody's totally clueless? And again, I didn't go back and read the book, but my understanding is it's just Max is the main character. He dresses in this white wolf costume, and he goes to bed without dinner one night, and
because he did something bad.
Because he did something bad, yes, and then kind of drifts away into this dream world. His room becomes this jungle, this wild thing area, and that's essentially what happens in the book. In the movie, he runs away from home after doing something bad. He acts out in front of like his mom and his mom's boyfriend, and like starts yelling and stuff, and then runs out the door, gets in a boat, which in the book, I believe there's a boat that takes him to this dream world. And in this one, he physically gets in a boat and then goes off to where the wild things are, and then takes the boat home. And it's sort of a mystery in the movie, it's never really said whether he actually ran away and got in this boat. And I think he did actually run away, but where did he go? We don't know exactly. Maybe he really went to this amazing place. So, anyways, just as a brief sort of, those are the big differences. But you ready for your first question on the film?
I am.
So all the characters were voiced by actors, obviously. Which of the following actors did not provide a voice for a character in Where the Wild Things Are? James Gandolfini, Julianne Moore, Forrest Whitaker, or Catherine O'Hara? Who did not provide a voice?
Yeah, I mean, and I know when you and I were talking about this initially, I said I've never seen the movie, and I still haven't.
Oh, I missed that, man. I
No,
missed
it's
that.
okay.
I thought you had. So do you know any of these for sure that are in the
No.
movie? So this is just a dartboard for you. You have no idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I am proving your lack of genius, so that's good.
Yep.
And again, it's James Gandolfini, Julianne Moore, Forrest Whitaker, Catherine O'Hara.
I'm just gonna go with Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara, and you know who that is, right?
I think so.
She's the mom on Home Alone. That's her most famous role,
Right?
And then she's in all of the fun mockumentary style movies. And most recently, what's the huge TV show she's on that I can't think of the name of? Oh, that's embarrassing. It'll come to me. Where they live in a hotel and they now I gotta look it up. It's actually a good show. I did not finish it. Okay, but you're gonna choose Catherine O'Hara.
Yep.
All right, John. That is incorrect.
Oh.
Sorry. The correct answer is Julianne Moore. She is not in. Her voice is not provided. I can't believe this isn't popping up immediately. I'm so embarrassed that I can't think of the name of the show because it's hugely popular. Oh yeah, she was also in Beetlejuice. Man, why is this taking so long to find? I feel people at home are yelling it. Okay, really? How do I not see the title yet? Wow, she was in 6 Feet Under. That's good to know. This part will be edited out. Why is it not?
What?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not the whole thing.
Schitt's Creek.
Oh, Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek. Thank you, God. Schitt's Creek. Have you ever seen Schitt's Creek?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
it's on my list of things to watch, but
it's been a joy to see Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara come back together because they've been in so many things together. So yeah, as my dogs continue to howl in the background, James Gandolfini provides the voice of the main character Carol, and then Forrest Whitaker plays Ira, and then his girlfriend is played by Catherine O'Hara, Judith, and even though a lot of people don't know this name, Lauren Ambrose is one of my favorite voices in this because she plays Claire in the show 6 Feet Under, which is one of my favorite all-time shows, and her voice is so perfect for the part. And even Spike Jonze, who is the director, provides voices for Bob and Terry, which if you've seen the film, you know are two little owls, spoiler alert, and they literally pretty much say nothing. They literally don't, they make noises, but that is Spike Jonze's little Easter egg that he provides the voice for those silly little owls. So there you go.
Cool. I will be right back. I spilled some drink.
Oh no! All right, take your time. I cannot believe those dogs are still howling. Okay.
I am back.
Y'all cleaned up?
I am now.
Good. All right. So shall we go on to? So we're both 0 for 1.
Yeah, we are.
All right, go us. All right. Let's see number 2 for the book, Where the Wild Things Are.
And it is a true or false.
Yes.
And it's an easy one. True or false? The book has been banned.
Wow. I think this is true. Um but I don't know why. And I just feel like I've heard this, and I'm kind of hoping it's true because I would very much like to hear why. So I'm just going to choose true and see what happens. All right. Yeah, what's this all about?
Um, Basically, a lot of people were complaining originally when it came out in the mid '60s, because parents and adults found it problematic that Max was punished by being sent to bed without dinner.
Oh, you're like starving a kid.
Yeah, and some people also, the supernatural themes and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
But I mean, in fact, there was a column in the Ladies' Home Journal in 1969 that deemed the book psychologically damaging for 3 and 4-year-olds.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wait till she sees what 3 and 4-year-olds are seeing in the year 2022, because it's far worse than a kid going to bed without dinner. That is very interesting because, in a world where it feels like this day and age where everything is, you have to be so politically correct and you can't do anything. It's
Right.
kind of amazing to see. Oh, okay, so that did exist in the olden days as well, in the 60s, the olden days. That is what is so tricky about doing anything in the public eye, is that somebody's going to find something to complain about for anything. And
Well, I mean, one way you could look at that is if you're making someone complain about it, then maybe you're doing the right thing.
yeah, yep. I love that. And as an artist, I think
Unless you're obviously doing the wrong thing.
Totally. Yeah. And yeah.
Russia.
Yeah. 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 That's it. Yep. Yeah, and it's funny because the movie got sort of similar like complaints, not about going to bed without dinner, but about how this is a children's book, and quite frankly, the movie is not a children's movie. In fact, there's a great quote that I don't think I saved anywhere, but Spike Jonze basically said it's a movie about children, but not a children's movie. Like, it's a movie that is about the life and struggles of a child, but not necessarily but he very much wanted this movie to be loved by families, by kids, but a lot of adults feel like the movie is too scary or too dark or way too emotionally deep for children. I'd kind of be, I don't know that I would show it to a toddler, but if I become a dad, I might show it to my 10-year-old, and I don't think a kid would love the movie though that much, So
no, you never know.
Yeah, I don't know, but all right, cool. So I got that one right, and guess what? You get a true or false for number 2 as well. Number 2, true or false? Industrial Light and Magic, as you know, is ILM. That's the George Lucas company, created the animatronic suits used in Where the Wild Things Are. Is that true or false?
Oh.
Do you have a visual of the characters from the movie at the very least in your head?
Maybe a little, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's partially because of Syndex's art style that it reminds me more of like Henson Company stuff. Which I believe that's still around. That company is still around. So I'm gonna go with false.
You're choosing false. ILM created the animatronic suits used in Where the Wild Things Are. You're saying that's false.
Yes.
That is correct, and you should get bonus points because you're absolutely right. Jim Henson Creature Shop is the one that created the creatures. So one of the most fascinating things about this movie, and one of the reasons that I love it, even though it's now 13 years old, they had plenty of technology to do this entire thing CGI. They very much could have, but Spike Jonze was not his vision. These are actual creatures and people in suits. Now, what they did do is they used for most of the talking and the expressions, and I think my opinion is that they put these together perfectly because they very much are real things, but it was just to get the true emotion of the characters, the CGI had to be called in. And I think that's part of why I love this movie so much too, is that seeing movies from the 80s and 90s where Jim Henson was creating actual things on the screen that you were seeing and could touch. I love that, and I just dislike CGI so much. I mean, it's come a long way, so obviously it does a great job. But yeah, these were actual suits created by the Jim Henson Company. There was an 8-month process of building the suits. One of the very cool things, these characters were like 12 feet tall. They were enormous. And so you could find some really interesting facts about these suits. Inside of the head, they put these little 3-inch square black and white TV monitors so that the actors inside could see what the cameras were filming, so they could see what their movements looked like, and they could get to know them better. 2 fun facts that I loved. I don't know if you know who Catherine Keener is, but she is the actress who plays the mom in the movie. She's also in what is she in 40-Year-Old Virgin. She plays the Steve Carell's love interest. She's been in a ton of stuff. So like I said, she's primarily known as an actress, but she was actually Spike Jonze's right-hand woman for helping the characters in the suits. So she was there the whole time, helping them to learn what their gestures are doing. They took the actors, James Gandolfini and Forrest Whitaker, and they did a studio shoot of a lot of the scenes, and the actors in the suits would watch that to understand what was happening and to try to replicate it, which I thought was very cool. And then one more fun fact about the suits is that Spike Jonze hired this artist named Sonny Gerasimowicz. He would just go by Garris, to do some of the original illustrations and mold them into what the characters ultimately became. So he was the main sort of, I think, clay guy behind it, but he ended up letting him be the suit actor inside the goat character. So I thought that was a pretty cool little opportunity for him. The goat's name is not Douglas. What is the goat's name? It doesn't matter. Yeah, it does matter. Alexander is the goat's name. Yes. So there you go. All right. Nice job, John. Very impressive that you got that so right. So we're both 1 for 2, right?
Yep.
Yeah, go us. All right, number 3 about the book.
What literary award, which I think the book has won multiple awards, but what literary award has it earned? The Nobel Prize in Literature, the Newberry Award, the Caldecott Medal, or the Pulitzer Prize?
I've never heard of the Caldecott Medal, but I have heard of a Nobel Prize in Literature. I have heard of a Newbery Award, and I have heard of a Pulitzer Prize. And I think the Newbery is for children's book literature, but I could be way off on that. I will admit that is the one that is jumping out at me, so as not to overthink it, I'm just going to choose the Newbery Award.
The Newbery Award?
Yeah, I'm picking it. Oh my goodness.
It's the Caldecott Medal.
Oh, it's the one I don't know. What is the Caldecott?
It's very similar to the Newbery. And if memory serves, the Newbery is the American Library, or the Association for Library, or the American Library Association, or whatever. It's their award for Children's Book of the Year.
Okay, it is. All right.
I believe that's what it is. The Caldecott is very similar in that it is picture book for children of the year.
Oh my gosh. That's clever. Yeah, because obviously not all children's books are going to have illustrations.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, it does look like the Newbery is the most distinguished contribution to American literature for children. So that's specifically just literature in general. But the Caldecott that's an appropriate award for them to win, because those images are the creativity behind them so amazing.
Yeah.
Caldecott. All right. Well, there's my new life goal, is to win one of those. All right, cool. So I got that incorrect. I'm 1. Oh my gosh, I'm 1 for 3. I'm falling behind quick. You're 1 for 2. Let's see if you can take the lead here on number 3. It's a music question. The singer of which band wrote and performed the soundtrack for Where the Wild Things Are? Is it Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Florence and the Machine, Paramore, or Vampire Weekend?
Florence and the Machine is kind of sticking out to me on that one.
Do you have any memory of the songs or the soundtrack?
No, I mean, I don't listen to radio very often, so if it was on the radio, I didn't hear it. But for some reason, I'm like, I mean, Florence and the Machine still is a fairly big band, and they were definitely big then.
Yeah.
I know the lead singer has gone and done separate stuff outside of the band as well. So I'm just gonna go with Florence and the Machine.
Florence and the Machine is your choice.
Yep.
John, that is incorrect. I'm sorry. It is the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Karen O is the lead singer of Yeah Yeah Yeahs. I deliberately put 3 out of the 4 bands with female lead singers, just in case you had any memory of there being, which maybe you did, and maybe that's why Florence popped out, because Vampire Weekend is not fronted by a woman. I just threw that in because they're an indie band from the time. I also realized I could have thrown in Arcade Fire as a choice to throw some people off who did have a memory of this, because I did work in radio during this time, and I worked in alternative radio, so I was very plugged into the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Arcade Fire and that kind of scene. Arcade Fire, their song Wake Up was used in the trailer very popularly. So if you go back and watch the trailer, you'll see.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, it really does sound good, and really does it really brings it to life. But Karen O did all of the music for that you hear in the movie, and in fact, one of the reasons I love it is because there's a lot of just kind of shouting, like, yeah, woo, and just like childlike shouting that works in the songs, but then also plays in the movie and just kind of comes out of nowhere, and almost kind of it's like jarring, but works so well. Spike Jonze wanted simple melodies that were emotionally complex, something that both kids and adults would appreciate, because I think that sums up the movie well. It's an emotionally complex movie, both the kids and adults would appreciate it. And so, like, a lot of the music is very playful, very fun, very lighthearted, but also has a certain complexity to it. And yeah, Karen O, it's funny, she worked with all the members of Yeah Yeah Yeahs on this song, but also with several other musicians. So it actually is credited to Karen O and the kids. That's that's who did the movie. But the soundtrack is great, but I haven't listened to it isolated from the movie, but I do know in the movie it definitely is a character all in of itself, and really adds a lot of a huge layer to the movie. Yeah. All right. Well, at least we're both 1 for 3. So let's see who can do worse.
So, we've talked about the creatures a little bit, and I mentioned how they were drawn off of caricatures of his aunts and uncles, but they aren't what they were originally going to be.
Okay.
So, what were the creatures originally going to be? Horses, dragons, cats, or dogs?
Wow, I love that they were originally going to be something different. The interesting thing about your choices, horses, dragons, cats, and dogs, is that only one of these is a quote unquote fictional. Maybe people, I guess there are. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. It makes me, dragons is definitely the front runner here, but it would be very interesting to learn if for some reason he was going to be going to an island full of cats or something. But between horses, dragons, cats, and dogs, I got to choose dragons and see what happens. Let's go with dragons. Dang it, you got me.
Horses.
It is horses. Oh my goodness. Okay,
tell me about this. It was going to be a land of wild horses, and he realized shortly before he started doing all the drawing that he didn't know how to draw horses. and so his editor suggested just being more ambiguous and drawing wild things.
Wow.
And so that's where he used the caricatures.
That makes me wonder if he had a working title before that, and it was going to be Where the Horses Are. and then said, well, why don't you draw Wild Things instead? And then it was, but
Yeah.
I would guess the title maybe came later, but literally that was a suggestion.
Yeah.
Maybe just try drawing Wild Things.
Yeah.
I love that. And you know, and I'm definitely going to go back and look through the book and maybe even buy a copy of it for myself just to have on hand, because what I don't know is I believe all the characters that are in the movie are also in the book. So I don't think anything was created, but the movie characters that they created in my memory are pretty close to how they look in the book.
I think so. Yeah.
I think they took some creative liberties, obviously, because they had to make 3D versions of
Mm-hmm.
them. But for the most part, and you know, these are characters, if you don't know, that have like, you know, chicken feet, but wing, you know, human-like features on the face and long hair. And there's a cockatoo, and there's a bull, and there's an unknown creature that, at least in the movie, his name is Ira, and he has a long pointy nose, and he makes holes in the trees. He literally brags to Max when he shows up and says, I don't know if you've seen the holes in the trees, but that's me, you know? And that also kind of reminds me that one of my favorite things about this movie is that each of the characters, they basically represent a different sort of emotion of a child. And they do it so well. Like the way they talk, it's not baby talk, it's not child talk, but it's very immature. It's very sort of like, nah, you know, but done through words as opposed to just saying nah and it's they really nailed it, in my opinion. You can tell I'm a huge fan of this. So but that is hilarious that it could have been horses. That reminds me of I won't name her name in case she's there's a girl that I went to elementary school with who I'll never forget in 5th grade. She loved drawing horses, and she was trying to sell pictures of her horse drawings to us. And God bless her, she was an early entrepreneur, but there was not enough amount of money you could have paid me to make me buy one of her horse drawings. But maybe she could have helped out with this book, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm now 1 for 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. Well, let's see if you can go for 1 for 4 as well. So as I've mentioned several times, Spike Jonze is the director of the movie. Yep. I don't know how familiar you are with Spike Jonze. We're about to find out. Which of the following movies was not directed by Spike Jonze, Where the Wild Things Are director? Is it Being John Malkovich, Her, Adaptation, or Jackass Forever?
I believe Jackass Forever. Unless I am incredibly wrong. But I mean, that's the newest one, right?
That's the newest one, correct.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Jackass Forever.
Jackass Forever was not directed by Spike Jonze, you say, John? That is correct. Yay. I kind of threw this in. To be honest, I thought that he directed all the Jackass movies. Do you know that he's very tied into the Jackass?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so he is a writer and a producer on all of the Jackass movies, and I thought that he directed it, but then that makes sense. Jeff Tremaine, who has a lot of camera time as well, is the director of Jackass. Spike Jonze did direct Being John Malkovich, which I've never seen, and now I 100%
That's a weird movie.
Yeah, I've heard it's weird, and I really like the weirdness that Spike Jonze brings to his movie, so I need to watch it. Have you seen Her?
I haven't seen Her, but I know about Her. And same with Adaptation. I haven't seen it either. But, you know, knowing Spike Jonze and knowing the films that I do know that were his, I figured the first 3 were all
they were in the same
type
realm.
of movies. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Her. The movie Her, I think it did a great, and it almost was before its time. It was really predicting what we're sort of already in, which is being attached to technology. Basically, the main character, who is I keep wanting to say Jude Law,
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is living in the not too distant future, and basically is talking to his phone, and people start to form relationships with their phones, with the AI that's in their phones, and it's whew, I loved it. But yeah, he did not direct the Jackass movies, but he is a major player in them. This includes like Bad Grandpa, where he actually in early Jackass skits, and maybe even current ones, he would dress up as an old man too, along with Johnny Knoxville, and go out and do these stunts. But this man has a incredible an incredible resume of directing, especially with music videos. I'm just going to read through some of the. He's directed videos for Weezer, Sonic Youth, Dinosaur Jr., REM, Ween, Bjork, the Chemical Brothers, Daft Punk, Beastie Boys. He most recently directed a 2020 movie about the Beastie Boys.
Yep. You should watch that.
That's the one that's on Apple TV Plus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do have that now, so I need to.
He also did a commercial for Apple for the original HomePod.
No way! How about that?
It's like a couple minutes long, but it's like where she goes into the apartment and tells the HomePod to play a song, and then it just starts moving around her and stuff.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
It's a pretty cool commercial. But it's essentially a music video too. So.
Well, what I guess what I've realized is how big of a fan I am of Spike Jonze without even having really known it. And I know that the Jackass movies are silly, but there's a lot of incredible creativity that goes into them, and the fact that he can sort of be this like off the wall sort of dude. He's also big into the skateboarding scene, but this off the wall sort of dude for Jackass, but also this crazily intensely creative guy for these movies like Where the Wild Things Are and Being John Malkovich. In fact, John, I think we should do an episode about our favorite directors of movies, even though I'm not sure I would choose Spike Jonze. I might choose Quentin Tarantino. That's a whole nother topic, but that might be a fun path to go down. So anyways, there's me rambling on about Spike Jonze. All right, so you got that one right. You're 2 for 4. I'm 1 for 4, so I really need to get this one right if I want a chance of anything here.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5 on the book.
What year was the opera created?
Wow.
2000, 1975, 2011, or 1983?
You could have just put in true or false there was an opera created. I had no idea there was an opera. Oh my gosh. An opera, not even like a musical. I mean, I guess an opera, but it's a full-on opera. 2000, 1975, 2011, 1983. So I'm not going to pick 2011, but there's part of me that's like, okay, maybe after the movie came out, they created an opera. I have a feeling because this isn't something that's in my knowledge bank, which most operas aren't anyways, that it's not a recent thing. Even 2000 seems like I was 15 at that time. I might have heard about it. I'm going to guess it's one of these older ones, either 75 or 83, both well into the book's creation. I'm going to choose 1983 because that's the year my brother Robert, whose love I'm still trying to earn, was born. So I'm going to say 1983. Yeah, Robert!
Yep, that's when it was initially kind of put out there. But it actually, New York City Opera revived it in April of 2011. And so that's why I put that in there.
Got it. They revived it probably from the movie coming out and the new.
I don't know why that was done, but it was. It's a one-act thing with 9 scenes.
Which is interesting because the book itself, if I'm not mistaken, is 10 lines. It's only a 10-line book, 10 sentences.
It could be. I mean, there's 40 pages, so it might be more than that.
Are there really 40 pages in the book?
Yeah.
Wow. Is that? Am I wrong on that fact then?
I don't know. I'll find the book and look it up or look at it.
Yeah.
But the opera, which Maurice Sendak helped with, was where he actually gave names to the Wild Things.
No way.
And they were his relatives' names, the ones that they were based off of to begin with. So Tzippi, Tzippy, Moish, Aaron, Emil, and Bernard.
No way. Those are very Jewish names, aren't they?
Yeah.
Some of.
So I mean, not knowing if Spike Jonze knew about the opera or not, it kind of interesting that the names aren't similar, really.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he did because he worked hand in hand with Maurice Sendak.
That's true.
In the movie.
I
So
did say that.
I bet there was a conversation about whether to have it be those characters.
Yeah.
But they clearly I don't know the reason. I'll read you the characters' names for the movie though, because they're much simpler names. They are Carol KW is one of the names. Carol KW, Douglas, Ira, Judith, Alexander, and the Bull. The Bull is just known as the Bull. So they're much simpler names, and maybe that was deliberate just to, I don't know.
It's
I'm not
possible.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also love that Carol is a male. That's James Gandolfini's character. He's sort of the main wild thing, and Carol. It can be a quote unquote boy or girl name, but it's more commonly known as a female name in our society, and so I love that that's a male character.
Yeah. So I mean, if you go to the Wikipedia page for the opera, Tzipi is the female wild thing.
Okay.
Moish, I think I'm pronouncing it's Moishe. I think that's Moish. Is the wild thing with beard.
Oh yes, okay. That's
Bruno is the wild thing with horns.
okay.
Emil.
Oh no, the goat. Okay.
Yeah. Emil is rooster wild thing.
Okay, yes, because there's a
and then,
cockatoo in the movie.
Yeah. And then Bernard is the bull wild thing.
Bernard is a great name for a bull. That's fantastic. Man.
And the goat and sea monster didn't have names.
Okay. Oh, interesting. A sea monster, because that's something that the movie does not have. This is also interesting to me because, again, I sort of deliberately didn't look into the book's characters. Oh yeah, I'm looking at them now and they're totally ringing bells. Because so there is a cockatoo. There is. Oh yeah, so they got most of them in here, but the horned one is a little different. The horned one in the book definitely looks a little different than the horned one in the movie. I wonder what the sea creature was. Anyways, I will be doing a deep dive of all these characters because I'm so fascinated by how they were created and what they look like and the imagination behind them. I just love it. It's super inspiring. The movie itself definitely inspires me. Every time I watch it, I don't know what I'm inspired to do, but I'm inspired to do something. Oh, yeah. Judith is the horn. Okay, sorry. I'm just having all these moments. So I missed that one, right?
Yeah. No,
wait.
You got it right.
Oh, yeah, I got it right.
Yeah,
so we have a chance at a tie.
Yeah.
I'm 2 for 5. You're 2 for 4 going into the last question. Again, you haven't seen this movie, so I'll tell you it's some of it is shot in a studio, but the majority of it is shot out in nature, and that was a very deliberate choice. There are some stunning shots. So, which of the following locations was the film shot at? Was it in Australia, Hawaii, Argentina, or New Zealand?
I'm kind of torn between Hawaii and New Zealand because both places are used quite heavily for filming. And I kind of vaguely remember scenes from the trailer. I think I'm going to go with New Zealand just because it has a lot more different ecosystems than Hawaii does.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So you're going with it, New Zealand?
Yep.
John, you are incorrect, which means we tied. You're very close. Australia. You're very close regionally. And in fact, Hawaii, Argentina, and New Zealand were all considered for locations, but Australia is what they went with. Their sort of main hub was Melbourne, and all of the locations that they shot out, or most of them anyways, were relatively close by, within like an hour and a half drive. Now, if if you haven't seen the movie, in this movie you see sand dunes, you see cliffs, you see forests, you see ocean. It's really pretty stunning, visually stunning, and in fact, a lot of the forests or certain scenes of the forest were actually like charred forests. They were burned down, and that was real. Excuse me. Every time you see a boat that's on choppy waters, it's actually in choppy water. They it would have been much easier to film a lot of these things in a studio, but they felt that having that real feel and actually feeling nature as though it was one of the characters was a big part of what they wanted. In fact, there's a quote that said Spike always wanted it to be like a nature film, as if we were filming the creatures in the wild and stalking them, which is very cool because you do get a lot of that. Like you're kind of behind a tree and you're looking. And then also this movie is mainly seen through Max, the main character, the 9-year-old boy's point of, I think he's 9, but through his point of view. So there's a lot of like looking up at these creatures or they really, again, I'm just thoroughly impressed. So, yeah, they really capitalized on the nature that Australia had to offer, and really the elements come through in the movie for sure. So, cool. So we tied. We're 2 for 5. Yeah. We both sort of kind of know stuff about the movie and the book. Yeah. But as you've heard throughout the episode, I get very excited talking about this. I just watched the movie 2 days ago, and I kind of want to go back and watch it again just because it moves. And John, if you have HBO Max, by the way, it is on there. I thought 100% I was going to have to pay for it and rent it on Amazon or whatever, but yeah, it's on HBO Max. So cool. I would recommend it. Let me know what you think. Where the Wild Things Are. There you go. Appreciate you indulging us on our childhood journey here.
Hey, no problem.
And I guess we'll be back next week. I don't know. Is there anything else we have for a wrap up? Do we have anything else we need to go over?
I don't think so. I think we've got everything.
All right. Well, add a tally to the tie, and we'll be back next week with some more fun. And in the meantime, go read and watch Where the Wild Things Are, and maybe do both simultaneously and let us know how that works out.
Yep.
All right. We'll catch you later.
See ya.
Bye.
I'm not going to stop the recording yet because I want to record. Have you seen the trailer for the new Chip and Dale movie?
Chip and Dale? No.
Yes. I just posted the link there in Riverside.
Oh, sweet. I don't even have to look it up.
No. I want you to watch it.
Okay. All right. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what the reaction is. Chip and Dale. Okay. Chip and Dale Rescue Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
I literally know nothing about. It's a real Hollywood story.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
"30 years later."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, CGI surgery. Oh, this is good. Lonely Island.
Yeah. Yeah, John Mulaney and Andy Samberg are the voices.
Oh my gosh. Seth Rogen.
Mm-hmm.
Will Arnett's in it. Andy Samberg. Yeah. John Mulaney. J.K. Oh, this looks so tight.
Right?
Oh my gosh. It's what's crazy is that they actually considered doing this for Where the Wild Things Are, where it's animation mixed with CGI, but it's clearly poking fun at all the CGI and the
Right.
many Oh my gosh, that is a unique take on a reboot, quote unquote. That's brilliant. That's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I want to see it.
I thought you
now.
would enjoy that.
Yes, thank you, John. You know me well. Well, now we're gonna have to do a Chip and Dale episode, and that was sweet. Thanks for sharing it.
I just like the fact that I honestly I think is it Chip that's dressed like Indiana Jones? I can never remember. Yeah,
Chip is.
I just enjoy the fact that he's told to get a disguise.
And he grabs the nearest thing he can find.
Yeah, and it's his normal stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I love it. What I love about what that looks like is that they're very much poking fun at themselves and their characters and having fun. That's gonna be
I mean, and I don't know if anyone like younger is gonna know who Dale is dressed up as.
Oh,
because it's Magnum PI.
Oh, that's what he's supposed to be. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, that's always how he's been dressed up is as Magnum PI.
Yeah, that's right. That's so funny. I never realized how they were basically parodying these things as or maybe not parodying, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I can't wait now. All right. Well, nice. Yeah. Do we know what we're doing next week? Do we have time to look at a calendar?
No, we got time.
Let's
I mean, on the calendar for tomorrow, we were going to be doing favorite podcast. But
we could do favorite podcasts. Do you want to do a favorite director episode? I maybe not next week, but should we do that?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I'm not sure who my favorite director would be.
Because it doesn't have to be favorite, but okay, so we had favorite podcasts.
You still there? Did you mute yourself? I can't hear you.